Aloha, everybody. This is your spiritual goddess warrior, Cathy Bilsky, on the Quantum Leap Let Light Unite show on UPRN Radio. And this is midnight, Friday night, July 22nd, 2016. And it's my favorite part of the month. I have a special guest that has actually agreed to come on every month, one time a month. And we're going to do a section on Native Americans. And my guest, and actually the co-host for tonight, is Richie Plass from the Menominee tribe in Wisconsin. Welcome, Richie.
Thank you. It's always nice to hear you screw everything up. That's cool.
Hey, when I do it well, right? Now, we talked about a lot of things to talk about, but it's my birthday on Sunday.
Is it really?
It
well,
is. Thank you. Would you do a birthday blessing? Can you do off the cuff? Am I putting you on the line?
You put me at a couple of disadvantages. First of all, I wouldn't know how to even begin to do one unless you were here. So I can wish you a happy birthday, and I do wish you a happy birthday, but to actually do like a blessing, I couldn't do that. I'm sorry.
Oh, what if I sent you my picture?
Well, I'll say one on your picture, sure. See, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that I have to revert back to my teachings and how I was raised, and to be asked for a blessing is an honor, but we do it different, and so sometimes, again, when someone asks for a blessing, and for a lack of a better trying to explain it, you think about this highly spiritual and maybe really, really, powerful thing, and I'm really sorry. I don't know how to do that. And even if I did, there's different things that when we approach someone asking for that, there's different things that we do and how we present them.
Can you explain some of those to people, what you would do? If I was in front of you, what would you do? And not actually, doing the blessing, but,
Right.
What's some of the work and, the preparation does it take?
Well, yeah, that's just it. It takes preparation, plus the request has to be made probably not in a way that a lot of people, not of our culture, wouldn't understand. So, in other words, you would approach this person or whomever you're looking at, and you offer them tobacco because you share with them that you've got a special request, and when the tobacco is brought out and you're offered that, then you know it's something very, very, very serious and special, and so.
So I would be offering you tobacco, right?
Correct.
The person that's asking, wishing for the blessing would bring you an offering.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the other thing is that, and again, not to discredit anybody or try to make it sound however it might sound, I would do it like one-on-one or a setting away from a radio. So it's not like some of the things you see on TV or whatever, and there's a big arena full of people and they're praising the Lord and everything. Our approach is just a little bit more different, and again, it goes back to how we were taught and how and why we should do those certain things. Boy, I hope I didn't lose you in all that, and I hope you understand.
Oh, not at all. That's why I'm asking you to explain to everybody because, again, this is a show about Native Americans, and, it's nice for us to get your perspective. And, if you don't explain, what you do or how you do it, this is the whole point of the show, right?
Correct. And again, I always try to do my best to, when I get asked to say something, I get asked to speak, I always try to acknowledge and actually apologize for speaking before my elders, and I'll do that now because if there are some elders out there listening, again, they're the ones that I continue to go to for my guidance and support and how we should do things, So, yeah, I'm always trying to be aware of that. Again, the honor. I always try to tell people the honor is not in the action. The honor is in being asked, and there is a difference. Or I should say, maybe what I should say, there's a different approach. Maybe that would be better to say it that way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's very sacred.
But speaking of birthdays, today is my granddaughter's birthday down in Hawaii. So little Lillian turned 5 today. So I had her on the phone before and wished her a happy birthday, and I wish her a happy birthday again from Grandpa Richie. So yeah, she turned 5 today. So
tell her she gets to celebrate like me the whole weekend. Actually, in Hawaii, we normally do the whole birthday month.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Why not, right? Huh?
Well,
Why not?
when I was younger, well, I mean, yeah, back in the day, as I should say, my birthday it always kind of falls or fell real close to the Memorial Day weekend, and so as I got of age, and up on the res where we live, and grew up in the town right close to us, Shawano, Wisconsin, they always had the Shawano County Fair on Labor Day weekends in September, so me and my buddies would always go down to the fair to celebrate my birthday, but of course the kicker is that depending on what day my birthday actually fell on, man, sometimes we'd celebrate my birthday for the whole weekend.
Well, there we go, right? Okay, mine's on Sunday. I'm starting on Friday. And depending on where you are, it's I could be a day early or a day late.
That's right.
And did I really put my right birthday down on Facebook? Oh, hell no. By the time I get to my birthday, everybody's already wished me the thank yous, the happy birthdays, and I've said my thank yous, and then I have a free day.
There you go. Yep. That's brilliant.
Thank you. That, and I have to say, another brilliant thing that was invented on the planet was duct tape. Give a woman duct tape, she can do anything.
I cook with duct tape.
Really? God, I cannot wait to come to dinner. Dang. I'm bringing video.
It seems like you should be able to, because you can do just about anything else. I mean, I don't know if it was this year or last year, and I seen that one post on the internet where these girls made their prom dresses out of duct tape.
Oh, try ripping that one off, right? Ouch. I don't think they thought about that, What do you think? They're only in high school, right?
Yeah.
I moved to a new place, and I had to buy a freestanding closet. So my girlfriend came over, and we put the closet together, and after we kind of put it together, I noticed that one side was higher than the other, so I went and got books and leveled it off, right? This is how women do it, right? It's like, I'm not taking this thing apart. I can't figure it out to begin with. So then, you're supposed to have a place where you hang your clothes. Well, there just didn't seem enough parts for that. So I got plastic tape, which all I had, and then I had masking tape, and I have to say one of them did fall down. And then I got duct tape, and that bugger ain't coming down right. And then I ended up with extra parts. I just don't understand.
Well, that's a sign of a great mind.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Daddy taught me to improvise.
When I would work on my cars, it was like if I had to go to replace a part and then get it all back together, and then just before I'd go to start it up, and I'd look down and I'd go, uh-oh, I wonder where that goes, and then just fire it up and follow the noises.
See, it's not just me. Okay.
Oh no! It's an American thing.
Oh, well, we wanted to talk about a few things that you wanted to talk about tonight, and one of them, and correct me if I've got it saying it wrong, is the censorship of Native American voices in just about everything.
Yeah, correct. I kind of speak about that, and I address that, even from personal things that I've gone through or that I've addressed with over the years, and again, there's so many times that I'm amazed when, here we are in the 21st century, and I still get sometimes very I get amazed how America, their stance, their positions, or however you want to talk it, when it comes to Native Americans and Indian people. I seen a poster a while back, and it said, why are we spending so much money on foreign policy when we can't even build houses for our families in South Dakota? Which is really amazing to me, and I think that's a powerful statement. And so along that same lines is that it seems, again, as we as Indian people, when we start looking to address those issues and wanting to say our pieces and explain our points of view, it just seems far too many times that we kind of get cut off at the knees because either we're not on someone's agenda, or it's not going to serve somebody or a group of somebody's to show that support for us. So then I always get amazed when I'm watching TV and I watch these different news shows, and the interviewer will be talking to someone, and then that person will start responding, and then all of a sudden the interviewer just like interrupts them and doesn't let them speak. Well, I think for far too many years that's happened to us as Indian people. They ask us a question and we answer it, and then somebody will go, well, no, that's not really it. And of course, I think the biggest example of that, again, is the mascot logo issue and stereotyping, is that when we say that these names or these images, we say that, they're racist and they're wrong, and the people that are in a position to make decisions go, no, we're not. We're honoring you, so don't worry about it. And we keep repeating. And I've heard Susan Harjo address that so many different times greatly, and and she made a great point because she was talking about Washington and their team name, and like she told everybody, she said, it's offensive, and they say, no, it's not. And she said, yes, it is. It's offensive. And they said, no, it's not. And then she said again, you know, hey, that's offensive, and then they say, no, it's not, now shut up, you know, we're telling you, you know, it's our team, and we spoke to all these different Native Americans, and yeah, it's not offensive, so just be quiet. So, and again, I speak to that from a truly personal point, because I was one of the hosts of a radio show up here, Wisconsin Public Radio, a local show here in Green Bay that was broadcast in Green Bay out at the university campus, and I was on the air for 10, 11 years. And I had pre-recorded a show because I had to leave town. And so I pre-recorded the show. I had some students from GB that were guests in the studio. And anyway, I get a email from the station manager, and it was all highlighted in red, and it just basically said right out that we had to talk because things that I had said on that show were not acceptable. And so, again, just real briefly, and it's a long story, and it's pretty ugly, but I think just to cut to the chase, to try and get the point I'm getting across, I had shared every when we had our final meeting, it was myself, the manager, the other host of the show, and then I had a professor friend of mine there from UWGB, a gentleman, Dr. Jim Coates, and because I've been friends with Dr. Coates for 16, 17 years, and he'd bring me into his classroom every year to speak to his students. And then my wife Lily was there. Well, anyway, again, Dr. Coates, and I'm only saying this because this is part of that whole approach. Dr. Coates is, African American descent, and when we started the meeting, and I said, today is Wednesday. I said, so tomorrow is Thursday. It's my night on the air. I said, I know I haven't been on for a few weeks. I said, so I'm ready. I'll be on the air tomorrow. And she said, well, that's great. And I said, but I want to let you know that I'm not going to change. I can only be me. And she told me, well, we can't. I can't accept that. We've talked. I give you these things and told you what's expected. Now, the handout she had given me, it said Ethics in Broadcasting for Wisconsin Public Radio and Wisconsin Public Television. And so I held it up and I says, now, when you gave this to me at that meeting a couple of weeks ago, I said, and you said a lot of this stuff in here relates to me, so I've been reading it. And I said, so are you saying that I have been or I still am then unethical? And she sat up in her chair and she crossed her arms and she looked at me and she said, yes. And I said, okay. I said, so why is that? And we just started that discussion. And, because she said, I can't believe that you've made that decision, not to come back on. And, and so what I turned to Dr. Coates, and I said, Dr. Coates, I says, I want you to, I'm going to share something with you, I said. And I turned to her, I said, no, you correct me if I'm wrong. I said, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct here. I said, but I said, I want to share with you what she told me was not only the most racist joke she'd ever heard me tell, but she said it was the most racist joke she had ever heard, ever. And here it is. Every spring, I would make the same announcement. During the show, you just make announcements of things happening around the community or whatever, And so every spring I would say, and by the way, the Easter egg hunt on the reservation has been canceled this year because last year the wind kept on blowing away the powdered eggs. And Dr. Coach said, just a minute, he said, what's wrong with that? And she said, that's racist. And he said, look at me, lady. He said, I was raised on powdered eggs. He said, I bet you this morning here in Green Bay, at least 5,000 people had powdered eggs. He says, so why are you telling me and why are you saying that Richie is racist for saying that? And she said, Richie's making it sound like all Menominee people eat powdered eggs. And I said, we do. They're called commodities, And again, that's just kind of like one example of how that whole meeting went. All right.
Richie, I used to hang out in Wisconsin when I was young, and I get the mentality. And trust me, that woman has heard much worse. And I've not grown up on powdered eggs, so I just kind of went, God, let me think about this one, okay? So you had to explain it to me, and you were going, God, don't tell me she hasn't heard Polish racist jokes up there. I mean, come on,
Well,
God.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with you, and like I say, I don't begrudge anybody of like anything, but I'll give you an example of what else she went on in that meeting. I had a guest in the studio that day, and he's a young man from our reservation, and his style of music is hip hop and rap and whatever, and he's very good. He really is. And so anyway, I'm doing my interview with him, and I said, Gary, I don't mean to at all embarrass you in front of our listeners and everyone else. I says, but how old are you? And he says, I'll be 21 next month. I said, I knew I knew I was close to that, and I knew you were close to that age. I said, so again, correct me if I'm wrong. I said, you're going to be 21, and so like you don't drink, you've never smoked, excuse me, or taken drugs. And he went, yep. And so I said, so what's wrong with you? Kind of laughed and giggled, And so I said, excuse me. I said, I know your mom and dad. I knew your grandparents real well. I know where you were born and raised. I said, to be 21 years old and make them positive choices and doing the music that you're doing, would you share with our listeners how and why you've made them choices? And he said exactly what I'd hoped he said, and he just said it right out. Excuse me. He says, yeah, I says, I got a lot of friends who still use. He said, I got friends that are in trouble. I got people I grew up with who are no longer here. He says, so I'm trying to take things from my life, put it into my music to try and motivate the young people. And that's powerful stuff coming from a young man like that. So then I said, well, Gary, I know you got to get going. I said, so before you leave, I want to play a song while you're here. I said, because I think you'll really like it. I says, it was done a few years back, I said, by some good friends of mine down in Milwaukee. And the name of the song, is called Wannabes. And the beat to it is actually that real stereotypical Hollywood Indian beat. That's the only best way I can explain it without, making that noise. And the words, I mean, it's great. It's a great song, Well, then, at this meeting, the manager brought that song up, and she said, you used the word wannabes. She says, and you can't use words like that to describe someone of another culture. That's very offensive. And I said, I got to ask you a question, though. I said, I'm really amazed that you're bringing these things up. I said, so it's like you've never listened to my show for 11 years? I said, this is a song that I've played a lot. I said, and people request it. It's funny. No, it's not, So again, that loops right back to what I was saying before about when people ask us a question, and then we share with them our answers, and they go, no, it's not. and so what are you supposed to do? And
Richie,
yeah.
Will you play the song for us next month?
Ooh, I'd have to dig it up.
Well, that's why I said next month. This gives you 30 days. Okay. All right.
I'll see if I can. I'll talk to my buddy and see if he'll borrow me that disc from the show, and I'm quite sure he will. And then I'll get it. I'll get it to you somehow. Because I'll do my best. I really will. But again, you gotta. It's not only, again, it's our humor. It's our native humor and all this other stuff. But like I keep telling people, it's not like we're trying to reinvent the wheel at all. It's just that, again, like I had said a while back on an earlier show, funny is funny. But in Indian country, I've said this before, and I'll keep repeating it because so many of us say that, is that we all say that our best and strongest medicine is our laughter and our sense of humor. And even in, and we spoke about this one time, you and I, how even in times of passing or tragedy, and we still find a way to bring each other up with all of that stuff. And so I know I can be offensive because I've said some things that I really wish I wouldn't have said at one time or another, but just at that moment it blurted out because of the situation I was put into. But, you learn over the years to try and be a little bit, I try to be a little bit more selective now when I go to call somebody a name, and so that's why I've tried to learn more of the English language to do it in a good way. And
okay, let's yeah. Let me ask you a question. How many different tribes are around you?
Here in Wisconsin?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's 11 reservations in Wisconsin. But again, I couldn't count on my little chubby fingers, how many different tribes are represented, because it's quite a few. Because again, over the years, our parents and our grandparents traveled and relocated and things, but we've got a lot. But right here in Green Bay, the Oneida, again, I'm on the Oneida Reservation here. and I'm a nominee, and our reservation is about 45, 50 miles northwest of Green Bay. And then we also have the Stockbridge-Muncie Reservation. The Ho-Chunk is close by, Potawatomi. Way up north, you got the other bands of Potawatomi, the Chippewa, the Ojibwe. So there's a lot of them,
Okay, let me ask you another question. Now, you know how the government loves to divide and conquer, especially, we'll take the Hopi and the Navajo as a big, big example, and the government, and correct me if I'm wrong, pits them against each other all the time. And now, they've done some really nasty reconfiguration of how, each land is supposed to be, and divided it up in such a bad way that, you have both Hopi and Navajo on both sides, and, it's made it very uncomfortable. Do you find the government trying to come in at all and trying to cause that kind of trouble with all the different tribes, or have you guys really come together as a group, understanding, this is what the government's going to do?
Here in Wisconsin, there's a huge coalition that's been around for many years, and it's called the Great Lakes Intertribal Council, and that's basically all the tribes right here in the Great Lakes region, and they help set policy, and they help negotiate and things. So I think once that back in the 70s and from the 60s into the 70s, when that whole process of self-determination began, and how everybody approached it on their own in their own areas, I don't really see the government coming in around here trying to say and dictate and do things, although just last year, up on our reservation, the College of Menominee was working with a program and looking into the possibilities, whatever, of growing hemp, and they actually had a area up on the reservation that they had planted some acreage and were growing it and things, and last year the feds raided it. I mean, they came in and they tore it down.
And for those of you that don't understand the difference between smoking marijuana and hemp, you can't get high off of hemp.
That's what they say. But anyway,
this is so typical, I mean, really.
So like when you said, do they still, come in there and do that? Well, yeah, and I found it really interesting down in, they call it the Fox River Valley, which isn't really far from here in Green Bay. It's down in the Appleton, Mena, Menasha area. And I found it really interesting, a news item last night. They've been looking down there to relocate the county police department. Well, anyway, the city council or the county or whoever leads down there, they basically have said now that they are claiming or looking to claim this one parcel of land, and they're using eminent domain to take that. And now there's some businesses all up in arms saying, you can't do that. We were going to put our business there, and we were going to do this, and I again, I'm watching this and chuckling to myself, going, "There, how do you like it?" You know, I mean, really. I mean, it's like, hey, America, man, we've been dealing with that since them boats landed, you know, over 500 years ago.
Have you ever noticed, though, that the government Forest Service pick out the most primo land to put up their little office and houses?
I never paid much attention to that because, again, one of the challenges that our forefathers on our reservation did their best to establish, and even yet today our tribe works on it, and that is to always keep away invaders for our forest land and timber, because that's been like a mainstay of our life forever. And so I can't remember how many times the government and other entities have been trying to come in and, you know, either buy the reservation or buy the timber. I mean, it's just really, yeah. So I know what you're saying, you know, because we just got to hold true to who we are. And I also remember along probably the same lines when you talk about, and again, I'm trying to be very careful not to really say freedom of speech, but when they built the interstate, the newer interstate between Green Bay and Milwaukee all them years ago, and it's I-43, and I can remember seeing this on TV where the government went in and they claimed a lot of that farmland. I mean, they bought, you know, they bought a lot of the farmland from these families down there because they were putting in this new highway, and there were a lot of families and a lot of farmers who said right out that, hey, you know, this has been in our family for, you know, generations, and you can't take it. It's our land. And I can remember one photograph that was amazing to me is that these people are literally laying down in front of the heavy equipment and telling them, no, you're not going to take our land. And again, watching all that and paying attention, kind of chuckling to myself and going, hey, how do you like it, man? You know, that's your government at work. And so, yeah, I just find it amazing that, again, people that are in these positions to make decisions, and some of the decisions they make, I think, you know, they've made it with their heads stuck in a porthole that, you know, nobody should be looking into, and they're the ones in power. And again, when Mr. and Mrs. Joe America, or, you know, my grandfathers or my mom and dad come up and challenge them, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. We're telling you what's right, and it's not right. And so, again, someone like me comes along with a big mouth who just says, no, I know I'm right. And I'm going to stand up for what I think is right, and I'm going to do it until you do listen. And you know, sometimes people do listen, and, you know, changes do come, and changes are made, few and far between. But again, though, I think that's what, that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm not trying to make it a point of freedom of speech, because that freedom to speak allows us to challenge. And I think that's a powerful tool, and that's why I tell the young people, if you want to address change and you want to get heard, it's as simple as putting your pencil to a piece of paper and getting it to the right person, and keep doing that. And then when they ask you questions, you just be ready with your answers. You know, you do your research, you read your history, and you follow all of that. Because yes, you know, we need to maintain who we are. We need to maintain who we were. A lot of us as Indian people, we know our histories, we know our past, we know where we're from, and we know where we want to go. And in order to get there, a lot of times we have to, then you change the law. I mean, look at our tribe, and look at what our leaders did back in the 70s. You know, when we got terminated, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of our leaders got together and they did just that. They learned what it meant to lobby. They learned about constitutional amendments. They learned all of these right things to learn, and again, legally, by law, the Menominee Restoration Act, 1973, I think it is, and signed into law, and so yeah, we did it. You know, so that's what I tell people. You know, quit your bitching. Don't be.
Let me explain. Let's go back just a little bit and explain to people that your tribe was declared not a tribe, that you didn't exist, and then they reinstated you. So you were a tribe, then you were not a tribe, and then you were a tribe, and it's all done with one signature and a piece of paper, isn't it?
Correct. Yes. That back then it was called the termination policy in the United States.
Yep. Let's talk about something positive. We were talking about the youth in out west and what they were doing, bringing bones back to the rightful burial sites.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The young people out in South Dakota, again, they had made a visit to Carlisle Indian School, and when they got to the graveyard, to the cemetery, and they seen all their ancestors, and so they, when they got back to the reservation, they put them questions and challenges to their leaders. So the process has begun. The United States Army is now working with those various tribes to get the remains of their ancestors taken back to their rightful place back in South Dakota. And that's amazing. That's powerful. But again, to me, there's so many sides to this that are powerful, but the one that makes me feel the best is that was initiated and addressed, again, by the young ones, by the youth. And that just goes back to reaffirm what I had said earlier. You want to make change, you can do it. There's a process, there's tools, and there's always things to do. And when you learn those, that's why it's there. So, yeah, that's, you know, I applaud them. That's huge. That's powerful, and it's big, and I'm proud of them. And so the last thing I have read a few weeks back is that I think they've already sat down and spoken with some people from out there, and they want to start that. They want to start that process. From what I understand, they still want to start it yet this year in 2016. So. Yeah, I really hope it happens. But again, there you go. You know, yep, you can do it. You know.
Well, what in the world was the military doing with your ancestral bones?
Well, that, I don't mean that with no disrespect, but there's always been a discussion that out at Carlisle. Again, many of our ancestors, who were at Carlisle, who were removed from their homelands and sent out there. A lot of them young ones, they literally starved to death because they wouldn't eat. It just wasn't their way of life. They wanted to go home. They couldn't understand why they were removed from their homes and sent all these thousands of miles away to this place they knew nothing of. And
where was Carlisle?
Pennsylvania. It's still in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
By the way. That's my joke. Did you get it? But yeah, it's still there. But yeah, it's in Pennsylvania. And actually, the other issue of and the other element about Carlisle is Jim Thorpe, because again, that town of Jim Thorpe, and a lot of people don't even know this, but he's buried in the town. When Jim Thorpe passed, and his wife made a deal with this town in Pennsylvania that if they paid a certain amount of money and they changed the name, she said he could be buried there, and that's what they did.
Well, Richie, you have to explain to everybody who Jim Thorpe was.
Okay, again, yeah, and thanks for reminding me, because you know what, that's one of my bad habits, because I always think people kind of know. So thanks for reminding me. Because
that's why we're such a great team.
And but Jim Thorpe was Sac and Fox from Oklahoma, and went to the Carlisle Indian School, and he was deemed, depending on which poll you read, he was deemed the greatest athlete in America in the first half century, or he was deemed the second greatest. He won Olympic gold, I believe it was in 1912 or 16. He won in that particular.
And that was times when they didn't have drugs, right? When they weren't shooting us and steroids.
But at that particular Olympics, Mr. Thorpe won both the decathlon and pentathlon in the same Olympics. And that's amazing, But he went on to become, again, he's one of the original players in the NFL. He's actually credited in a lot of places of helping to establish the NFL, and then of course in one of the crazy downtimes is that way back when they found out that one summer he played semi-pro ball so he could make money to help his family eat, then the Olympic Committee stripped him of his gold
amateur
medals.
title.
Yep, and so his wife made that choice. So there's a town in Pennsylvania called Jim Thorpe, and again his descendants have been fighting for years to get his remains returned back to his ancestral homeland in Oklahoma that we reinterred. So again, I always question, and I bring this up a lot of times too, why is it that the graves of our ancestors are not looked at in the same light or the same vein as the ancestors of other people?
Well, you can even take, Geronimo, where the skull and bones came. and that was Bush's grandfather, and they stole his skull, and I don't know if it was ever returned.
You know, and here's a curveball for you, okay? And I know we've spoken of this before, and I'm going to have to search for the words to try and explain this better, but I can't address that because there's something deep inside of me saying, just because of how powerful what that man was, and then how the government treated him and all their people, and we moved them to Florida and all these things, but it's like, again, part of my teachings is that you don't talk about things. Sometimes you just don't talk about certain things, and I have a really hard time even trying to research that, because it's like I don't have that. I don't have that right. That's how I feel and how I was raised. Is that
well, I do respect that a lot. And as for me, to me, that's part of magic, blocking it, because if people don't understand what happened,
right,
and that it is being used for black magic and satanic purposes, you know, nobody will say anything. They'll keep quiet. But this way, if it's known, maybe people will start speaking up and, you know, going to the Skull and Bones at the Yale University and go, dude, it's time for you to give it back.
right. And,
you know,
and
they have no right to have it.
Right. And see, and the other thing is that I don't know if that's, you know, actual fact that of all of those things, and I understand everything else that people say, but you know, I just don't feel. I don't know. I hope you can understand my inner challenges of this, because I'm not trying to shy away from anything, but I'm also trying to. I was always told that if it don't feel right in your gut, there's got to be something missing, and that's just how I feel about this one, because I don't know, but I've seen movies, I've seen documentaries, I've seen other things, and if it is in fact true that that's what they did with the skull and all this stuff, well, you know what, then people should be punished, you know, that did that, and still keep that, whatever it is, going. It just, you know.
Well, it's just another example of, you know, of desecration of an indigenous culture, and nobody, and the government allowing it and turning a blind eye to it.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's why I got saying before is that if somebody, you know, if somebody comes up to me and asks me a question, I answer it and they go, no, that ain't right, and they walk away, and I'm going, what the hell did you ask me for? Because I'm not going to blow smoke, you know. I've been around a while now, and yeah, there are some things that I do know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for.
And when I don't know any, you know, when I don't know or I don't feel secure enough to address it, I ask, can I get back to you? And then that's what we do.